at one point in time, I felt like um, Columbus was like a hip hop hub. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? There was a lot of very dope groups and artists out of there. Like obviously your whole circle, the
Yep.
megahertz circle,
Yep.
and I knew about all them because I was I fucked with the underground heavy.
Yeah.
So I mean, what was it? What was it like? Because you obviously know that it was considered a hub for
Yeah.
hip hop.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
what was it like to be a part of that during that time? I mean, you guys basically you were making a lot of noise. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
I mean, it was a special time. Like I think some of us knew how special it was. I definitely knew that just like things like that don't happen very often. Very rarely does a city like Columbus end up with, the number of like national artists from the exact same scene and the exact same circle, to where like it where we're almost like we're rivaling some of the output or some of the notoriety of a lot bigger cities and bigger markets. And people are really looking like, wow, Columbus is coming from there. So like, it was a lot of pride. It was a lot of excitement. When I think back to some of those shows at that time, you know, everybody in Columbus was rallying around us because they kind of knew like this is something we finally have something to cheer for. We finally have some people that are not just dope local artists that the whole country, the whole world is looking at. These guys are going out here, and when they're going out here, they're saying, I'm from Columbus. And that just made it hit harder. The talent level in Columbus is something though that like I was always impressed with that.
Mm,
Like some of my earliest memories of hip hop are going to shows in Columbus. So this thing in Columbus called the Hip Hop Expo. It was kind of like our version of the Scribble Jam, you know,
okay.
but it started before the Scribble Jam. I think the Expo started in like 94 or
Mm,
95
mm-hmm.
or some shit. And it was just this 1 year event thrown in this big ass convention center, and everybody in the scene would come. And it was like, be fucking 800,000 people there. And it would be a DJ battle, MC battle, performances. Very Scribble Jam like.
Is that real
Uh
quick? Not to interrupt. Is that where there was this random footage I saw back when I was watching freestyle battles heavy? Is that where that Jakai
vers-
blueprint battle happened?
yes, yep, that was the
Okay.
Columbus Expo battle. Yep.
Okay. Okay. I was wondering.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
wondering.
Yeah. And so like, yeah, so we kind of had that going, and I would go to those events, and even though I was from there and I was in the scene, I would just be amazed at just like how much talent is there. You go to Bernie's from Bernie's open mic to any open mic that was there, the dudes who were just rapping were just crazy. And it was so inspiring. So always knew like, man, if something goes on here, this whole thing is gonna crack. And we always looked at megahertz like we always felt like megahertz could be that group
Hmm.
because they were younger, they were starting to be recognized, they were kind of connected a little bit. It wasn't like they were like prior to Def Jackson, it wasn't like they was running with, a bunch of dudes from out of there, but they were kind of getting some burn and we were in places, and we're like, there's some cats. And then we would listen to music like, yo, this is just as good as anything that we're playing. Like, and from me playing all that music, when I heard them, I was like, this could be a group who comes from here. And then sure enough, like they end up getting on by Beto's label and finally put out that 12-inch. And that to me was just the scene just did that after that. We were around selling tapes and CDs, but they greatly inspired us. And then, Prism and all the spitball shit and them dudes, it was
Mm.
all kind of at the same time, and Camus. And then as we were bubbling coming up, the soul position merger between me and RJD2 and Def Jux and then the Rhyme Series connection, we became like a scene that really kind of fed the whole underground scene as a whole, almost like a feeder system, a feeder city, if you will. And so it was very inspiring. It's good. It was dope to be a part of it, man. And it's crazy to look back on because like we didn't know. We didn't know like when we started, we just was out to just be those guys in our city. That's all
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't think that it was gonna be this national thing. Like when I went to my first shows in Columbus, I looked at guys on stage and I was like, man, you know what? If I just have the local respect they have, I'll be happy with that. That's all we wanted. And then it
Mm.
turned into something bigger than that. And I'm just glad I was a part of it, man. You know?
Yeah.